Hello YouTube. In this video I'm going to show you how to perform basic troubleshooting. And basic troubleshooting, generally the first response and first thing I normally get is, it's not working, what do I do? So I'm going to show you. Being an IT specialist, I've been asked a lot of questions, most of which, some if basic troubleshooting had been done, the person would have saved having to make a phone call or anything that could have taken care of the issue themselves. So why don't more people fix issues with their computers? Because they're uneducated or ignorant about what the issues really are and how easy they are to fix. Many computer problems or issues are caused by simple things that are crazy simple to fix, and I can't stress that enough. Most of these fixes can be performed for free. That's the key thing. If you just learn a little bit, you can take care of 99% of your PC problems by yourself without it costing you a dime. The first step in troubleshooting is to remember KISS, which is an acronym for Keep It Simple Stupid. KISS allows you to check all simple things first, which would be cables, dust, and or multiple simple software issues that a system utility program could fix for you. Most of these simple system utility softwares out there are free. There are some of them that you do have to pay for. There are a bunch of them that have a free version that'll fix the majority of your problems, with a pro version that you can purchase if you wanted to go deeper into the system. But for the large majority of the issues, the free version will take care of it. So what's the number one issue? The number one issue that most computer repair people and help desk agents or IT specialists get is a problem with the computer running slower. We have to find out what slower really means. Is it the entire system? Is it a specific program or application? Is it only when on the internet or in a web browser? All this information, if you can collect and gather up front and supply that to the person, they can help you out to better understand what's going on with the system to help you fix your problem. We have to find out because each one of these three can be different issues. A slow system could be a possible malware problem or virus, or could be a cooling issue due to dust building up on the heat sink to the CPU or even on the RAM. A lot of the newer RAM has a heat sink on it, and it does get very, very hot. If it can't get air, it gets extremely hot, which causes the system to overheat and shut down. As it's in the process of overheating, your system will get slower and slower because it throttles the system back to keep from it getting hotter and hotter and possibly damaging itself. A slow single application, not a web browser, a program, anything that's, banking software or something like that, this is most commonly an issue with the application itself. Usually it can be fixed by uninstalling the program and reinstalling it to correct if it has corrupt files. If it doesn't, more than likely you're going to want to contact the software vendor themselves. Calling a tech out in most cases for different programs isn't going to do you a whole lot of good. The other thing you can do is also to Google the problem and the program, and someone else may have already had that issue and figured out how to fix it. A slow internet browser is usually a combination of malware, spyware, and adware. Sometimes it's a virus, but not as often as you would think. Most of the time it's malware. Or, as a very, very rare possible problem, it could be the internet connection itself. This is kind of where you're going to want to run a utility software, antivirus, anti-malware, spyware, adware applications to clean out the system. Most of the time, whenever you connect back up to the internet, you will find out you're good to go. Basic tests for each one of these is to run a system utility application that cleans and corrects registry issues, checks for any possible infections, removes malware, spyware, adware, and viruses. Also, do a physical inspection of your cables. For a slow entire system, pull the side off and blow the CPU and RAM free of dust. In most cases, these are the fixes and are exactly what your repair technician is going to do in order to fix the problem for you. Odds are they're going to charge you a high dollar price for this simple fix because You don't know any better. So what's the second issue? Most common. The second most common issue that repair technicians get is I keep getting pop-ups on my screen. This is entirely a user problem. This means that you have installed programs that installed adware or malware on your system. If you didn't install anything, then you really need to sit back and evaluate the web pages that you're going to, because one, if not multiple of them, gave you adware or malware. Adware inherent isn't really malicious to the system. Malware is. Adware is just annoying to the user. The other reason this adware keeps making it onto your system is because this is a way for a person to make money by forcing your system to go to a mass amount of ads. There's money in advertising, and even more so in tricking someone to go to it and see the ad and get paid for that ad. Again, this is an issue that a simple free system utility could take care of and save the user a bit of money rather than having to have a tech come out and look at your system. So if I have a problem, what can I do? Well, first, check cables and connections. This most often fixes the issue for things that mysteriously just don't work, come on, or comes on with and won't stay on. Number two, purchase a can of compressed air. They have dust off and several different things at Walmart and a lot of other stores. Some of them can be a little bit expensive, but for the most part, the trouble that it'll actually save you, it's well worth the $4 to $6 that you're going to pay for the can, and it lasts for a while. You can use it for a mass amount of multiple cleanings. All you got to do then is just pop the side panel off, blow the dust out from the CPU fan, the video card, the power supply. If you're not sure what each one is, blow out the entire system. Get the dust out. Dust is a computer's absolute worst enemy and nightmare. You're not going to hurt the computer by removing the dust. Don't use an air compressor. You want to use the can compress air, because an air compressor has the ability to build up moisture inside of the tank, and it will blow that moisture all over the board. Water is the computer's enemy, just like dust is. Dust can cause the entire system to slow way down, overheat, and just flat out shut off because of the fact that it's overheating. Most of them have thermal protection built in. They will shut down to protect themselves to keep it from frying. Download a good free system utility application. Some of the scanners to keep the trash out of your system. Most of your system application utilities have a scanner. It scans the system for what it needs to take care of, then it goes and takes care of it. Something like Advanced System Care for system utility, along with Driver Booster or Malware Fighter, Avast or AVG for antivirus, Smart Defrag that actually defrags your hard drive. We'll go into that in greater detail in a different video. Malware Bytes free, adware, which adware has a combination of an antivirus in it as well. You can install it as a second line of defense. It will keep a lot of the adware off of your system so you don't have advertisements popping up constantly. Really good program. It's also free, but they do have a paid version as well. It's well worth the paid version if you want to go that route. The free one works just fine. You have Spybot Search and Destroy. All of those programs work very, very well at keeping your system maintained, free of various malware. Spybot Search and Destroy has the ability to actually go in and immunize your system. All of these I'll have in separate videos later on. I'm going to have an updated version for all the IO-Bit software, which is Advanced System Care, Malware Fighter, Smart Defrag, Driver Booster, all that good stuff. A little Google search can teach you a lot. If you just get on there and search about what your system's doing, you can start finding information on what your potential problem may be. And it'll also, you can do Google searches to find out how to actually use the scan software to be able to keep your system clean. Driver Booster is an absolute wonderful program that keeps your drivers up to date, and your drivers being updated is a major thing. You'd be amazed at how many computer problems are due to old, outdated drivers that have issues. There's quite a few problems that just simply updating the driver will take care of. And number 4, most important, make sure you keep your operating system up to date. Those patches and fixes exist for a reason. Most of the time it's to fix a problem or a major security bug and hole. You want to make sure you keep your system up to date. All of these methods listed should be basic first steps in troubleshooting. If the problem still exists after these basic steps, then you might want to call a specialist, which will be your local IT guy that you call to come out and fix your computer. Now here's a way to do basic steps based on what the issue is. Let's say your system won't power on. Well, first thing to do is check cable connections. It's amazing how often, if you have kids, if there's even somebody else in the house at all, and sometimes they'll migrate out on their own if they're not secured properly. Somebody cleaning might have come along and moved the cable, jerked the connection out while they were vacuuming or something like that. Always check your cable connections first. Remember KISS. Make sure the power supply is plugged in and you have power to the unit itself. You would be amazed how many times I've been called out to people's houses and the only thing I had to do was plug the computer in. Number 3, verify lights don't light up and nothing spins up when the power button is pushed. Most of the newer hard drives, they're harder to hear, but you can still hear them if they activate and spin up. Almost every computer has a light on it somewhere. If it doesn't light up at all, you probably have pretty major issues, especially if you know for a fact that you have power plugged in. You verify that power socket's working. You verify that the power switch is turned on. Yes, a lot of the systems have a power switch on the back of them on the power supply. That can be turned off as well. I've done this as a practical joke to a few people. It's amazing how much they'll freak out and not bother to check the simple things first, and then they think their whole system went poof when it didn't. And the last thing is if this is still an issue and nothing is coming on, nothing's doing anything, you know for a fact the power button's on, it's plugged in, you might want to call your tech because you have pretty big problems. Now let's say it's the entire computer is slow. Well, this is most commonly a dust problem. If it's been running fine and now all of a sudden it's getting real slow, you would be amazed how many systems I've pulled the side panel off of and there was a very thick layer of dust that just coated the very top of the heat sink to the processor. Those processors get very, very hot. They have to have airflow if it is an air-cooled system. Taking a simple can of compressed air, you're done. All of a sudden, like magic, the computer's running like it did when it was new. You'd be amazed at how often that's a problem. If it's not dust, then run your system utilities. It may be malware, different things like that, and or even possibly the Windows registry if you're running on a Windows operating system. If that doesn't take care of the problem, call your repair tech. You have bigger issues. Okay, now let's say it's a program or application that isn't running right or is running slow. Save all your files to that program. If it's Quicken, you're going to want to make a backup and then copy your backup folder over to a different folder. Uninstall the program and then reinstall it. If that doesn't take care of the problem, then you want to call the software vendor because the repair tech's probably not going to be able to help you out much with the issue. They're going to do the same thing you just did, and if that doesn't work, then they're going to turn around and call the software vendor, and guess what? You're going to get charged for something that you could have taken care of yourself for free. Once the issue is fixed, you can copy your save files back to their original location, and they will work just fine. Now let's say you have ads popping up all over your screen. Used to not do that, does it all the time now. Download and run one of the system utilities. Download and run adware, spyware, any of the malware removers. A lot of them will check for multiple things. 99% of the time they're going to fix and remove what your problem is, unless it is something brand new that none of them and no one knows about yet. Give it time, there will be a fix for it, but for now, you're just going to have to deal with the ad until they figure out how to get rid of it. You also want to make sure that the ad isn't something that's embedded on the page, so try a different web browser. If it pops up still, odds are it's probably embedded into the page and there ain't anything you can do about it except for quit going to that website. If running those and determining that it's not built into the page, the ad's just popping up on its own, or it's just randomly redirecting itself to an advertisement, then you're going to want to call your repair technician because he probably knows of a really good application. Or you can even just call him and ask him for advice on what you might need to do that. 99% of the time they're going to be willing to help you out unless they're just out to rip you off for the money anyway. And they can give you advice on what program you need to install that will take care of the problem for you. And they'll even walk you through how to run it. Big thing is, if you have ad pop-ups come up, largest majority of the time you have adware, and you're going to have to download an adware remover. Now let's say your printer just quit working. Well, a lot of times printers don't just quit. They get disconnected or unplugged. They rarely just quit. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does. But most of the time you're going to want to check the cables first, because that's generally a good indicator of the issue. You can try printing from a different program, as the issue might actually not be with the printer. Another thing you can do, if the printer's powered up and everything and the connections are all there, try printing from a different system. Does it work? Okay, it's not your printer, it's something with the computer itself. You can Google how to run the printer's troubleshooting, perform the troubleshooting steps. Almost all the printers have their own troubleshooting built in. If that doesn't take care of it, you'll probably want to call your technician. Now, if the printer did completely quit, there are some tricks that can be done to possibly get them back, but largest part of the time, if it just went bah, or if all of a sudden the wireless part of it just totally stopped working and you can't get it to print at all, if it's a wireless or network printer, you're probably looking at the high possibility of having to purchase a new printer. In all honesty, 99% of the time, it's a cable or connection issue. If it's not that, the printer's generally toast, and there's not a whole lot that your repair tech's going to be able to do. So most printer problems can be taken care of on your own relatively easily. A little bit of Google search. If you search on the actual model of the printer itself, they will commonly give you a list of documents. You'll have your user document, your user manual that tells you how to use the printer, and quite often there will also be a troubleshooting tech manual. If you look at that, go through everything in there, and it still isn't working, odds are your printer's dead. Now let's say you're having an issue with your internet being slow. Almost every single time your internet runs slow, this is another 99%, it is because you have malware, adware, and spyware on your system. Spyware likes to sit there and report back on everything you're doing. Any keystrokes, sometimes it monitors a lot of the web pages and stuff that you're going to. Yeah, spyware likes to tattle back on where you've been and what you're doing. Adware likes to pop up various things on your system, give you redirects and send you to advertisements. And malware is just anything that's on your system for a malicious reason. A lot of viruses fall under the malware category, mostly because it's what they are. It's malcode. Check your network connection. If it's a wired connection, not wireless, wired, you're on an Ethernet cable. Looks like a big telephone cable. If that has come loose, there's your problem. Simple. If nothing else, go to speedtest.net and run a check. If you're paying for a 50 meg connection, you normally get 50 meg a second, and it's coming back at 10. You either have a problem with one of your network devices, like your router or your modem, or you may need to contact your ISP and verify whether or not there is an issue on their end. If there is, guess what? There's not a thing you can do about it until they fix the problem themselves. If it's not an ISP issue, your speed test net comes back, everything's fine, and you're still having problems, you've ran your adware, malware, and spyware remover, you're still having the same issue, you might want to give your repair technician a call or start using Google, because odds are he can recommend something, or he may even have to come out and take a look at it. In some cases, there may be some settings that got changed by a program that was installed, or a website that you went to that was using certain scripting, and he's going to have to go and correct those changes to get your internet connection back up to the way it was. 99% of most computer problems are all very, very, very simple things, very easy to fix, and most of all, it's stuff that you can fix for free. This means a lot of the phone calls that are made to repair techs, most of the time you are being overcharged for something that probably would only take them 2 to 5, maybe 10 minutes tops to fix, and then they're done. And then, you know, they have all the room and reason to charge you for like $100 and something service charge for something that honestly 10, 15 bucks would be a normal fee for it. Spyware, adware, virus removal. A lot of people these days do all that in one shot for a small fee of just $25. Most of the time that'll take care of your issue for a short time. The big thing is if you got adware, malware, and spyware on there, you're probably going to websites that's giving it to you, and odds are you're going to go back to it again. So having some of the actual software that monitors your system, a lot of them will give you pop-ups that will help you out and let you know that, hey, this website is not exactly what you think it is, and you're getting things from this place. A lot of different things going on there. I'd like to thank you very much for your time. And this information is out there for absolutely everybody. As always, watch, like, and share. Have a great day.